Welcome back. In this lecture, we're going to begin our journey on mailing list maintenance by creating our first mailing list via the Mailchimp web-based interface. So to do that, we're going to the first thing, bring up our browser. Here I'm running Chrome, and you can see that I am on the Mailchimp home screen, mailchimp.com, and it gives you the option to log in, which we will do. Here I will use my Scribblus account that I just set up previously to go ahead and log in. Here it's asking me for some security stuff, which I'll clear up later. And it presents you with a list of things to do. And this is a pretty common order. In fact, the order that we're going to go in. Importing a list actually requires that you have a list first. So if you want to import from an existing list, which we're going to cover in the next section, it will ask you to create a list as part of the import process. So that's kind of a way to mainline that. Next would be to create a campaign and then to do some research and build an audience. So we're going to begin this by creating a list. And how do you do that? You go to the lists over here. On the left is the major navigation menu for Mailchimp. It begins with things about your account. You can go to your profile and so on. You can actually log out of Mailchimp here. Next is your campaigns. These are mailings that you're sending out to mailing lists. Templates for creating campaigns. You can actually create a template for your emails. The lists are next. You can have one or more mailing lists and sublists that you're using to send out mailings. Reports are, once again, we talked about those open and click reports in a previous slide. This is where you would get access to those. The autoresponders are really neat. I think that most of them you actually can't get access to without paying for a subscription at Mailchimp. We'll investigate that towards the end of the course and confirm that. And search, I'm not quite sure what that's used for. I never use it. Now let's begin with the lists here. By clicking on a list, it says you have no lists. Normally it would list the lists that you had created, but it has this big pointer pointing to create a list in the upper right hand corner of the screen. We're going to go ahead and click on that. Now it's going to ask for a name for the list. Give your list a significant name. For instance, let's say this has to do with, this is the June sale newsletter. We want to have some big sales in June that we want to communicate. Okay, the default from address, where is this going to be from? Who is the email going to be from? It's going to be from scribblus123@gmail.com. And the from name will actually be Brian Jackson. Okay, this will allow people to respond to my list or to anything that I send on the list and know who is sending things. This is a reminder to let people know how they got on your list. Okay, so notice that it's giving you instructions all the way through and what to fill out for completing the list. Here we're going to say that this is my newsletter list. We'll just say something to that effect. And finally, some information about yourself, which I just put in junk information where I'm actually the NSA living at the White House. Okay. Here is actually this information which we can get rid of. We can put in an actual company name like Scribblus Inc. Pennsylvania Avenue is just fine with me in Santa Rosa, and so on, California. And we go on. Now the notifications that we would like to receive regarding this list, they will be sent to this email. I can get a daily summary of subscriptions and unsubscriptions. One by one, I can get notifications as people subscribe, and I can get unsubscribe notifications. I'm going to sign up for subscriptions and unsubscriptions, and never mind the daily update. And there we go. We have our first list. It is called the June Sale New Letter. We'll rename that at some point. Welcome back. Here we are looking at our monthly new sales newsletter now. I've since renamed the newsletter to make it more generic. I wanted the newsletter to last longer than the month of June, so I didn't want it to be the June sales letter, so I made it the monthly one. We'll have sales every month, and this will be a monthly newsletter that we'll send out. The way that I changed that is by going to Settings and List Name and Defaults. That brings up this screen that allows you to go back and change a lot of the things that you've already configured, including the name of the list. Let's look at some of the other menu options that are available here along the top of the list screen. There's various stats about the list. Let's get an overview. There's nobody on the list. Well, actually, there should be at least one person. Actually, there is one person on the list. The average open rate is 0 because nothing's been sent to this list. So there's very little to get under stats. Managing subscribers. Here you can view them. We have one subscriber right now, which should show up, and that's me. The other thing that you can do is you can force people to unsubscribe. You can create groups and segment your mailing list into smaller mailing lists that you can then send mailing campaigns to. Here you can manually add a subscriber, or you can import subscribers from like a comma-separated value file or other formats that are acceptable by Mailchimp. Sign-up forms is something that we're about to get into to generate a sign-up form to allow people to subscribe to this list. And as I said, settings, it gives you various settings to configure things related to this email. We just hit the major one, which was list name and defaults. There are other things that you can configure with this list, but that's basically making a list. We now have a list with one member in it called Monthly Sale Newsletter.